What's good, everyone? This your main correspondent, Alan Taylor, and I'm back in the broadcast room. And yes, you clearly see the title of the broadcast here. So we have Anton Daniels in the broadcast room. And listen, look, um, with this particular situation here, and you clearly see the title. Listen, look, man. Anton Daniels made a video on this guy, you know, a while back, not a while, it's like a few days ago, something like that, a little bit. And this guy was talking about how he had, seven kids by six baby mamas and stuff like that. And he also said that he, kind of, basically was regretting his decision and things like that. So Anton, put his quarters, nickels, and dimes in on it and things like that. And, of course, he made a response. But before we get to the response, I'm gonna show you what was the original video, and then we're gonna go to the response. So let's dive off into this. Quarters, nickels, and dimes.
So I don't know like who follow me and who don't, but coming out of the penitentiary, I was impulsive and I didn't have no penis control. And if y'all look at my TikTok, y'all see I got a bunch of babies by different women. And I can say as a man, that was one of the most foolish things I ever did in my damn life. Like having kids, having no penis discipline and just putting it anywhere and, busting inside of motherfuckers. Like that was one of the most foolish things I ever did in my life. Like it's so rough raising kids with multiple women. It's so rough. There's no way you're gonna get around certain people being jealous, and that's natural. There's no way you're gonna be able to give the kids equal amount of time. Um, you got females you got the ones that get mad because they feel like you're doing more for the other kid, so they don't let you see the kid. You got the ones that use them as pawns, and then also it really weakens the family structure and the family foundation because I can't be the king of so many different castles. You know what I'm saying? I can't be the king of all these different castles. Then, they moms date other men, and I'm not one of them dudes who be like, man, don't have no nigga around my baby. That ain't me. I don't do that shit. I accept it for what it is, and I just pray and hope, and that the women that I have kids by, pick decent men to bring around their kids. And I do feel like the women that I have kids by, they are decent enough women. They not gonna have just anybody around them. So I respect any man that they bring around. But man, it's so hard, man. That shit's that's one of the biggest challenges of life, man. Like I I will admit that I have cried several times not seeing my kids. I have 7 kids by 6 different women.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on for a second. I thought he was going to say, I got 2 different baby mamas, or I might have 3 kids by 2 women. He said, I got 7 kids. Let me just rewind this. I just got to understand exactly what we're dealing right here.
Like, I will admit that I have cried several times.
Why do the biggest names in dropshipping keep
Sorry, y'all. It is what it is here. Hold on.
Kids. I have 7 kids by 6 different women.
Dog said he got 7 kids by 6 different women. See, this proves my point. First of all, he just getting out of prison, which he served his time. He did his debt to society. And so, we can't hold that against him. But the women that pick the men that they then decide to have children from, you got to hold them accountable. This proves exactly what I've been preaching for years. There's a small segment of men that are getting the majority of women pregnant. Women are having children out of wedlock. They are not getting married to the person. And then they all choosing the same type of guy. And I'm sorry, big dog. I'm only using you as an example because you're sharing the story and you're emphasizing. And I know your goal is to say, yo, it's hard out here for a pimp. Don't do what I did. You got to have a level of discipline and all of that stuff. But we got to have a conversation. We genuinely got to have a conversation right now. And this is what's wrong with the culture. This is what I'm going to get to the rest of the video. Matter of fact, I'm going to play it in its entirety because this is one of the rare instances where we got to see this all all of the whole conversation, all of the whole video. But this is exactly what's wrong with women, and this is what's wrong with society, is because how can he say, I hope that they bring good dudes around him, when we don't know if you the good dude, because we don't know your background. All we know is what you telling us right now, right? And so they probably bringing the same type of gas around their children that you are, because you are a reflection of the thing that you are, right? And so we got a bunch of people that's having a bunch of children that's out here running around crazy that they can't take care of, because it ain't no way in the world you're going to convince me that you have the ability to take care of 7 different children by 6 different women. You can't be, you admitted it yourself, you can't be here all at the same time. And now we have more broken culture and more people that are trauma bonding and then giving generational curses over to their children. And then they want to hold all men accountable, because you'll have 6 different women saying, oh, black men ain't this, or this and that. So all men ain't this, or you need to decenter men. No, you need to decenter the man that you decided to have children with. And
yo, so this is where we at here. This is where we at here. This is the first video that Anton did on this young man right here. And so we're going to keep going, because we're going to get to the response. And I let that play out a little bit so we can kind of get so you guys can get to understanding stuff like that. Because I did see the first video, and I was going to do a reaction to the gentleman myself and things like that. But by the time I got to it, which I was trying to do it right now as the making of this broadcast, I was trying to get to it, and this popped up. The response to Anton Daniels for doing this video about this young man right here having all these children by 6 different women. So we're going to hear what he has to say, and we're going to also hear the response of Anton Daniels. It's going to get crazy out here, I guess. I haven't seen this all the way through. I dove off in it for a hot second just to see, because I was amazed that he responded. So let's go here now.
Anton Daniels, what's up, bro? I seen that you had did a review on my content. First, I'm gonna say, bro, I do like some of your content, and I do see like a lot of your points and things that you say. But you commented on this, and your point is, it's a small percentage of men in our culture who get the bulk of the women, and men should have kids out of wedlock and things along that, things of that nature. I understand some of your points, some of them I agree on. This, not so much. Not because it's just me, but because for like the kids out of wedlock thing. What is marriage? Like, marriage is the commitment before God, and a promise that two people are making to God. So do you not believe in polygamy? Do you believe that like polygamy is wrong? Because I'm not the only man, and I won't be the last to have a bunch of kids by a bunch of different women. Granted, like I said in my video, I didn't make that video bragging and boasting about it. I'm making that video as a warning to like guys who can possibly make the same decision that I make. But like one of the problems that you got to understand when you're talking about it's a bulk of it's a small group of men getting all the women. That's what they're interested in, bro. Like, it's like you criticizing people for being you criticizing women for liking what they like. There's more women on this earth than it is men. Every woman not gonna get her own man. And I've never been in a polygamous relationship in my life. I've been through a lot. I've never said I was the best boyfriend or best nothing along them lines. I know where I fuck up at. I know where I fall short at. But the problem with what you're saying is like the men who you're talking about, the women just don't find them interesting.
My point exactly. We don't disagree. We align 100%. My commentary was not about whether or not the majority of the men are with the minority of the men are with the majority of the women. My comment was that women are choosing to have children out of wedlock with a minority of the men, whereas there is a gap in the guys that they actually should probably create families and get married to, which statistically speaking, that is the best way for a child to remain out of prison. It's the best way for a child to not need therapy, never to ever be more likely to be married, more likely to go to college, more likely to be successful. The statistics point to a strong family structure, and women are making a decision not to go that way. So up to this point of the video, right, as I said that I was going to do a follow-up video I'm going to start responding to the responses to what I say to different people. And so the original video, just for context for the people that's watching this guy was saying that he had 7 kids by 6 different women. And he was explaining the problems that come along with that and how he should have done better and all of that stuff. And so the criticism wasn't to him. You know what I'm saying? I think that when people see you do a response video, and I always link back to the content creator because I want to give them credit. When people hear you respond to a video, a lot of times they think that the criticism may be towards them. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't, or maybe a variation of it. But in this instance, what I was saying was that I've been saying this for a long time. And so when women then push back and say, well, no, all of the men need to be responsible for all of the women. You can't hold all men accountable for what a percentage of men are doing. If this one guy has 6 kids or 7 kids by 6 different women, he really proves my point as far as the thing that we hold women accountable for. Now, he's going to have to deal with, he already obviously in the previous video identified the problems and the issues and the troubles and all of the stuff that comes along with it, right? So he understands where his
play solo.
And he did, though, you know, as I showed you guys in, you know, the previous video that Anton did and things like that on this gentleman, he did take accountability. You know, he really did. He took accountability for his actions and stuff. Like he said, he came out of prison and he went loose and things like that. So it's not that he's not taking accountability. And, you know, I understand where he's coming from and I get what Anton's saying, because these are facts out here in these streets, you know, and what women like and what's good for society, the way that, you know, humankind needs to move, is 2 different things. You can like it, you know, it's people out here that like crack. That don't mean that that's good for society. It's people out here that like all types of treacherous things. You know, that doesn't mean it's good for society just because they like what they like.
Ability lies. We're tired of women saying, hey, no, you need to come and take me and my kids, which comes along with you,
right,
into consideration. You understand what I'm saying now? So you can't ask, and we can't hold guys accountable for not wanting to be stepfathers. We know that this is what women want, but that don't mean that we have to subject ourselves to it. And that's the
bingo. You know, and that's the case. That's the case. Now, you know, I'm not knocking anybody that's ever been a stepfather in the history of the world. You know, I mean, let's come on now. You know, that's happened, things like that. We have women that have been stepmothers. It just is what it is here. But we can't sit here and act like this isn't a huge issue when we're trying to blend these families and stuff like that. And you got, you know what I'm saying, like he seemed like a, you know, peaceful dude. He's reformed. You know, he doesn't seem like he's just going to snap out and go crazy. But you do have some of these chicks out here that got homicidal, crazy dudes that they'd have had babies with. And then at some point, after they calm down off their stupidity way of living, now they want peace and they want a man that's peaceful. But you got this chaotic ass dude out here, and the dude that's peaceful, he ain't got time to deal with that shit. He too busy trying to build life, figure out retirement, all types of logical stuff. And, you know, it just is what it is here.
Very framework, the very idea of what guys have been talking about out here in these streets lately. And women are getting absolutely upset and saying that we wrong, but you actually agreeing with me and substantiating my argument.
Right.
Those men are not masculine men. Most of those men are probably feminine. They're not attractive. They got, you know, they don't have good hygiene. They don't care about themselves. They don't care about how they look. Like it's a lot that goes into why women go for a certain type of men, why a large group of women go for a small group of men. And it's not just money. Don't get me wrong, you do have sex chasers out there. But I'm not the one who's just out here passing out money for free. Do I look out for who?
We say that too, that you don't have to pay. A lot of guys don't have to pay to play.
Right.
Dudes is choosing to do that. I want to hear. I want to hear it in bulk. I want to hear the rest of this video.
Yeah, hell yeah. But that's not the reason that. Got distracted. That's not the reason that women come for me and go for me and choose me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not brag. I didn't once brag and boast about having multiple baby mamas. I didn't say that shit. But I don't have no messed up baby mamas to the point where it's not like we gonna raise some messed up kids. And like the whole broken home thing, bro, I don't believe in this shit. Cause what's what? So you mean to tell me, let's say an army dad who's not at home, he's gone a lot. They bounce from state to state, place to place. He's not a good father because he's not home every day. Like, I never said I wasn't a good dad. Not one time did those words come out of my mouth. Not one time did I say, okay, I'm not a good father. I said it's a struggle, and it is. But a man can struggle. A man can have a baby by one woman, get married to her, not just out of wedlock. He can get married to her, have a baby by one woman, multiple kids by one woman, and she take him through hell just because it's the person she is.
All facts.
Right. Definitely true.
Agreed. 100% in agreement with what it is that he just said. I have no pushback for that whatsoever.
You coming off like the answer to all of this is to find one woman, get married to her, and make it work. That's bullshit.
I'm gonna let him talk.
My father been married twice. 2 failed marriages. 2 different kids in both of those marriages too. So your point to me is not valid just because you're saying, oh, you should get married and not have kids out of wedlock and women stop going for a type. Man, they like what they like. Like,
no. It's not about going for a type. Listen, if you saying, I'm pretty sure that you are very transparent. Obviously, your videos is very transparent. You are who you are. Your past is what your past is. And we can't hold you accountable for things that you did in your past because you paid your debt to society and you're moving on with your life and you seem to be doing, well and keeping yourself out of trouble and dope. And I salute that. I applaud that. You know what I'm saying? The other side is if women are choosing and they have the autonomy to do so, then they can't continue to have, because see, he's seeing it from the lens of the reacting to the video. He don't understand the context of this thing that we've been communicating for a long time, right? So this is kind of maybe bringing him up to speed as far as what the conversations has been, as far as relationships has been going on. You can't, and this is where me and him disagree. We can try to compare it to a guy that goes off to work and say that, well, that is similar, or in comparison to a guy that is just a baby daddy, but it's not the same in no way, shape, or form. Nobody can never sit here and tell me that a person that is in a married relationship and is raising their children in a 2-parent household to where on a regular basis, the way that a child knows what a relationship is supposed to look like is how their father treat their mother. It's not just about money. It's not just about resources. It's about, what does, and this is the difference between being married and being successfully married, right? Being under the covenant of God, a man focusing and being masculine and not being a simp, not being a happy wife, happy life type of guy, but also his children, both the son and the daughter, can they see what an exhibition of masculinity is performed like? How you supposed to treat women. The way that a child learns, I often say that a daughter is going to identify a man similar to her father. So with that being said, am I the exemplification for what I would want my daughter to marry? When we start putting it in that perspective, it's not just about, oh, these women want what they want. What I want my daughter to deal with the thing that, you see what I'm saying? So that's the lens that I look at it. We bias towards ourselves and our own story because we know all parts of it, but we're not really intentional with how it is that we affect the culture and society.
I could definitely agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is what it is here. You know, when we as men do certain things and stuff like that, and you know, as a preacher's kid, and I've said this in plenty of my broadcasts and stuff like that. Like we move when you under the covenant of God as a man, and He's guiding you properly. You know, the right things happen in your life. Not to say that you're not going to go through, struggles and strife, because that's not life. You're going to have to go through something. That, going through things builds you. It makes you stronger. It gives you more wisdom and knowledge and things like that, and you're able to move successfully on this planet. But the thing of this is yes, the whole situation here is that a lot of women are having the children with a small group of men, and he's like, they like what they like. Okay, cool. But yeah, they can't come to the next dude and be like, listen, look, you got to take this deal. Now, nobody has to take any deal. Now, to keep moving, the thing also is that we can't not allow this type of thinking to keep going on. It's so sad that we're in this day and time to where, men and women are not in the family dynamic like what's actually been successful on this planet for so many decades and longer than that. Basically, the plan was already laid out, but the problem is that we as humans decided to do what we wanted to do. Free will. And God did give us free will. So at the same time, though, too, by us having free will, at the same time, we can't complain when we make decisions that don't get the results that we really want in life. God gave free will to follow what He laid out or not to. And that's okay. You're supposed to make the decision. But see, the problem is people make the wrong decisions and then don't get the results that they really truly want at heart. And now they're complaining. Or this is the problem, or somebody else is the problem, and this and that. But no, you internally are the problem. And that's what's up. You gotta, you gotta follow the plan that's already been strategically laid out if you want to be successful at whatever it is you're trying to do, marriage, whatever.
Let me let them cook.
The reality is, like, probably the men who they should go for, they're not attracted to them. That's not what they into.
Agreed.
Unless they marry them for financial benefit. And I'm not even against that. Marry for what you marry for. My thing is, like, I live life for me. I don't live for you and your viewers and your crowd. And then I seen somebody in there say that somebody in your comments said that seven kids. That you ain't them made decisions. They made mistakes. Some shit he said. I never said my kids. I don't even use the word mistake.
I don't understand. Well, I do get it because a lot of people are newer to content creation. I've been in this for close to a decade and a half now. People get affected by the comments, and everybody in the comments, shout out to the chat, they have their own opinion and their own perspective. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
He's reacting to the comments. He's not really paying attention as much to the message and what it is that we're trying to impact people with and how we convey. And let me also say this. You can't choose or tell people how to feel or how to react to you when you tell your story. If you share the information, you can't tell people how to receive it. So if people receive it and they say, this is what I take from this, it's not about, well, I didn't say this because you said it, and now it's out there in the atmosphere the same way that the things that I say, right? It's out there in the atmosphere. And so I don't trip off of people reacting to even, your commentary, whether you disagree or agree. It don't bother me because I know that everybody has a way based off of how they live their life, how they take that message in.
Full accountability for all my actions, everything I do in life. I don't do no crying, no playing, no joking about the things that I do. Whatever happened, I do it. I live with the repercussions of it. and I stand on whatever decision I made. So me being hypersexual and out here with my penis, my kids, like I fight for my kids. You understand what I'm saying? Like I fight for my kids. Like I'm not just laying down. And these are kids that I didn't ask for, but my actions asked for them because of how I was moving. So now that they heard, it ain't nothing to cry about. No decisions that need to be made. I'm gonna be a father. I'm gonna raise my kids. I'm gonna beat her. And women go for certain type of men. Women go for me because of I'm me. I don't know about nothing else you're talking about. All them other men that you're talking about, I don't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing about that. And then a lot of people say, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. Y'all can't. The reality is y'all can't. The reality is y'all probably don't have enough of everything that I have to deal with multiple women. It's not like I sat up there and lied to these women. Y'all knew, they knew, okay, he dealing with this, this, and this. He got this going on. He got that going on. They decided to have these kids. You want to know why?
Do you realize how much?
Hell yeah. It's facts all the way around on both sides here.
They understood it may be a messed up situation, but these kids will have a good daddy. These kids are going to have a good daddy. And then some of you niggas just flat out ugly. Some of you niggas ugly. Like they look at y'all and be like, I don't want my kid to have those features. Some of y'all just ugly, and that ain't no y'all. Ain't nothing y'all can do about it. Some of y'all just ugly. So these women don't want to have kids by y'all. I can't help it that these women want to have kids by me. They knew what they were getting themselves into, and ain't none of my kids' mamas bad mothers. None of my kids' mothers bad looking. None of my kids' mothers broke, suffering. None of that. I have some kids by good women. I have kids by great women. All my baby mamas are great women. We struggle personally because of us, because of our personalities. You know what I'm saying? Because of our personalities. But all of my kids is by good women. And I see, you found your Mr. Anti-Things, like you found your core audience, you found the people who agree with you, and that's good. You found your niche in life. You understand what I'm saying? You found it. Nothing wrong with that, bro. I salute you. I commend you on it. But you stating your opinion on somebody else's life and saying this is what you've been saying and all of that shit, bro, don't nobody care about that shit. Like, your opinion about my life means zero to me. What are you teaching me? What are you saying to me or teaching me that I can teach my kids, that I can benefit from financially? And this is no shot at you, bro, because I don't feel like what you did was disrespectful. I feel like you were making content for your viewers. But I don't agree with the concept. First off, I don't agree that it is one way to live life. I don't think it's one way to live life. Like, you have this biblical view of how things should be, like one wife, one man, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're right. You are right. But in life, what I've learned is more than one answer to a question. So you can be right, I can be right, or you can be wrong and I can be right, or we both can be wrong. And I'm all right with that. I understand life on a different level than you because of what I've been through. I don't know what you've been through, but I know the way I understand life. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like you saying a polygamy, all these religions. First off, I don't get into religion. I think a lot of the ways in the Bible, I think all that shit bullshit. But I feel like the way that you thinking, like, so you saying the Mormons, the Muslims, all the people who have multiple wives, like they're wrong. They can't be in all these houses. Polygamy ain't just one way to do polygamy. Polygamy looks like everybody in one house sometimes. Sometimes it looks like everybody in different houses. What the fuck is a broken home? So a home is broken just because two parents don't go to sleep in there every night? I don't believe that shit.
I think what I'm gonna do is I'll probably invite him onto one of my platforms so that we can have a conversation. Of course, we have completely different worldviews. I believe more in Christianity, biblical terms. He has more of a worldview. I have been able to travel the world and understand different cultures, from Japan to Romania to Dominican Republic to Brazil, everywhere, even up in Canada. You know what I'm saying? So my worldview is a little bit different. I've been to almost all 50 states. I've studied different cultures. I've studied Chinese. I speak Mandarin, Walkway, Shua, EDR, Potonkwa. I've seen things a little bit differently. So maybe I'll invite him up on the platform to have a conversation. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments.
So this is where we at. Shout out to Anton. Real talk, man. This is a long one here. So this gentleman responds to Anton, and we clearly see what he thinks. You know what I'm saying, versus what Anton thinks and things like that. Definitely as a preacher's kid, of course I'm leaning more towards Anton's side. It's more structure in a marriage and things like that. And I get what what the other gentleman is trying to say, polygamy, and of course he knows something about religion, whatever, the Bible, things like that. For him to be trying to quote, polygamy and things like that. But it's also other avenues to what he's trying to say about polygamy and stuff like that. It's not just just spitting up babies all over the place. These men were actually married to these women under God's covenant. It's these men weren't just, David had all these wives, but he was also ordained by God to be allowed to have these wives, if you really know what you're talking about here. He just wasn't running around here just, spitting up babies all over the place. Let's just be honest with this shit. So what this young man was talking about, he kind of was talking out the side of his neck, and I mean, I get it. He trying to justify just being able to run around and stuff like that. And of course, we know, it's a certain segment of women that will go for that and that want to live life that way. But the big picture is that once they actually get tired and, you can't be in these households. And even he said at one point, like, these women have other men that they're, engaged with, that they maybe even some of them are married to some, or boyfriends, whatever. So they're not actually dealing with him like that. And maybe they still are. But see, that's the trick of the game. They probably still, fucking him on the side and still got their dudes paying bills and all that type of shit. But that's the trick in the game. So he can sit there confidently and be like, well, these women like what they like and stuff like that. Cause he gonna always be these chicks' baby daddy. Period. For all these women that got children by him. He's always gonna be there. And what the point is that for this one dude and all these other women that have supposedly moved on and they're dating other men or they're in relationships with other men, they still have to deal with him at some point, shape, form, or fashion. Now he can sit there all day, talk about what he, of course he may not be jealous. He don't give a fuck really low key, about none of these women and things like that, which is, saying he's not supposed to. That's just who he is. But the men that come into these women's lives, they have to spend their money, help these chicks with these kids, stuff like that. He can talk out the side of his neck all day. But if your children living under another man's house and another man's roof and stuff like that, he feeding your babies, bruh. Now you can sit there and talk about you stealing your child's life and stuff like that. Yeah, that's the complication of the situation. Your children living under another man's roof. That's his house. He need to have control over his house, and that's his rules. But then you could come in and interject and sit there and be like, well, nah, I don't want my child to do this, but your child living in another man's house. How about you take all your children and put them in your house? That's what we're talking about here. That's what Anton is presenting in so many words. This is the point right here. When we sit here and we have these relationships and try to do these blended families and all this stuff, and these women bring these children under another man's covering, under another man's roof, under another man's understanding, that's his shit. You as a man, if these your children, take your children to your house and put them under your covering. But that ain't gonna happen. Because ain't no way he getting custody of all these motherfucking kids. So they stuck under another man's roof, and then that man got to deal with the father, the biological father, which is understandable. Those are his children, having say so in his house. And that's the big picture, man. But it is what it is, though. Shout out to all my subscribers. Mad love to y'all. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell to be notified whenever I decide to post things. And like I always say,
and that, my friends, is the bottom line.
That, my friends, is the bottom line.